What is good, everybody? This is your guy Manny, and this is the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. I was on yesterday. I'm back on today. Appreciate all the love and the support that you guys have been giving me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all other social media platform, including YouTube. Most of you guys already know had a tough loss in the family last week, but we're gonna talk some fantasy football. We're gonna talk about waiver wire week 10 pickups that can help you guys win your weeks. If you guys are, you know, 3 wins in, 4 wins in, you're struggling, hopefully these waiver wire pickups could help you guys win your weeks moving forward. Justin Fields should not be available anywhere. But if Justin Fields is available anywhere, that is the quarterback that you need to go ahead and grab. 2 weeks ago, I had Justin Fields, and I second guessed myself and went with Daniel Jones. Epic fail. Sometimes I do make mistakes, and that was a big mistake to where I let Justin Fields go, and somebody else was able to grab him, use Justin Fields against me this week, but that person was not successful. I was so glad that the person ended up losing. So those are just some of the things that sometimes you do, and then you don't realize. So Justin Fields had an amazing week. I talked about Justin Fields yesterday on the NFL stream that I did. Justin Fields is a number 7 quarterback right now in fantasy football, and he had 48 points, 72 points. Of course, different scoring is different in different leagues, but this guy was explosive. He ran the ball, 15 times for 178 yards, the most rushing yards ever by a quarterback in NFL history, Justin Fields. He also threw the ball, a few times and completed some passes for 123 yards and 3 passing scores. So Justin Fields is a pickup right now, the number 1 quarterback pickup right now, if he's available. He shouldn't be available in your leagues, but there are some leagues that still don't trust Justin Fields and what he brings to the table. I'm going to go ahead and run my intro, and we're going to get this thing on and popping. Yes, I know it's a bit of an early start for this show, but I had some time. So anytime I got some time, I want to go ahead and use that to the maximum efforts, that I can, because I don't have a lot of time. Time is something that I don't have a lot of moving forward. In other news, OBJ is going to be cleared to start playing football this week. So OBJ is a guy that people are trying to grab in trades right now. He's available in your waiver wire. You guys go ahead and pick him up. He's free. The cost to pick up OBJ is free. You might have to use a waiver wire claim on him, but, somebody to grab. Just in case he goes to a team like Green Bay, he automatically becomes the number 1 wide receiver there. Maybe he goes back to the Rams and then helps that Rams offense. Maybe he goes to Buffalo. Maybe he goes to several different teams. But if he goes to the perfect situation, it'll be great. Just imagine if OBJ would have went to the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are now done adding wide receivers. To be honest, I don't see them adding OBJ, but you never know. So let's look at the quarterback position. Okay. There's several matchups that do matter, right? Obviously, Justin Fields is going to be a must-start candidate the rest of the way. So we already talked about that. The targets that I would target this week are guys like Jimmy G. Jimmy G is solid, and he's going to be playing against a LA Chargers off defense that is pretty banged up. So I had a question for one of my Twitter followers, one of my major supporters. His Twitter handle is MKB Fantasy. So you guys go follow him on Twitter. He says, "Hey man, thanks for the help in week 9. I got the win. For this week, Lamar's on bye. So he needed Lamar to score by 10 points, and Lamar got more than 10 points. So Lamar won him his week. He says, who should I pick up for week 10? He had Daniel Jones versus Houston, which is a good matchup, but I trusted Daniel Jones instead of Fields, and you see what happens. So Daniel Jones is up and down, so I'm not messing with Daniel Jones this week. Jimmy G versus the LA Chargers. That's a great matchup. I told him to pick Jimmy G versus LA because that defense is banged up, and I think that Jimmy G is going to come out here and play well. He also had Stafford Stafford versus Arizona. I don't trust Stafford. I don't. Mariota versus Carolina. That's a good matchup. But Mariota, he's a guy that can get you 13 to maybe 17 points. So you want a guy that has more upside, like Jimmy G. He can get you 3 touchdowns on any given Sunday. Now Deebo Samuel is most likely going to play this week. You got Christian McCaffrey. You got Ayuk, George Kittle. So I like Jimmy G's upside more than Mariota. He also mentioned Jared Goff versus Chicago. Goff is up and down, and I just don't know what to expect out of Goff versus Chicago this week. And then he also mentioned Aaron Rodgers versus Dallas. Dallas is a pretty good defense, and Dallas is a defense that I don't mind streaming this week. So I'm not going to go with Rodgers. I'm not going to go with Goff. I'm not going to go with Mariota or Stafford or Daniel Jones. It has to be Jimmy G out of the options that my main man, MKBF Fantasy, was able to DM me on Twitter, and I'll answer this question. I told him that I'm about to go ahead and stream, and that I'll be answering his question first. So with that being said, Russell Wilson could be a decent matchup this week versus the Tennessee Titans. That game is at Tennessee. Tennessee is a tough crowd, but Tennessee's defense has been up and down. Russell Wilson is averaging 16.3 fantasy points per game. I think that he can get anywhere between 16 and 20 fantasy points come Sunday. But at the same time, I don't mind streaming Tennessee's defense. So it's one of those things where it's 50-50 for me. Russell can have a good game, but then Tennessee's defense can also have a good game. But if Tennessee starts Malik Willis once again, then I'm going to lean towards Broncos in every single category. Another streamable guy is Andy Dalton. Now, there are some rumors that Andy Dalton could get benched this week for Jameis Winston, but it doesn't matter. As long as Chris Olave is playing for the Saints, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. That quarterback is going to get some stats. You got Chris Olave and Kamara as your top 2 wide receivers. I mean, it just bodes well. We don't even know if J.J. Watt is returning. If J.J. Watt is returning, then you go ahead and you pick up that Pittsburgh's defense. But for right now, I like Andy Dalton this week versus Pittsburgh. It's going to be one of those matchups where it can be up and down. Andy Dalton does have 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's averaging 18.1 fantasy points per game this season. So Andy Dalton is the guy that I'm looking at. Hopefully you're looking at him too, and hopefully he can help us win some games this week. A guy to go ahead and stash. This is the time to stash Deshaun Watson. It's right now. The time is now. He's a few weeks from coming back. This is the perfect time to go ahead and grab him ahead of week 10. Toss him on your bench. If you got space by now, you should have already gone through most of your buys anyways. So go ahead and stash Deshaun Watson. When he comes back, he should be able to put together some good performances for you that could potentially help you win your league, especially in the playoffs. Let's go ahead and look at some running backs. Running backs is one of those positions where everybody's getting hurt. You don't know who to pick up. You don't know, who's healthy, who's not. Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson is a great pickup. He played great. Everybody was saying Raheem Mostert is the guy, and Raheem Mostert might as well very well be the guy. But at the same time, you don't know the kind of production that Mostert is going to give you on any given week. But Jeff Wilson is definitely a guy to go ahead and have. And based off of Jeff Wilson's next 2 matchups, it's going to tell you if Jeff Wilson is a flex play in the future moving forward. So I like Jeff Wilson a lot. Grab him, stash him. He's a good scoop this week. Let me go ahead and pull up some of the top performance last week, and then we can look together who we should be able to pick up for fantasy football. The beauty is that fantasy football is week to week, and sometimes you have players that you trash or you throw away this week, and the next week they explode, they go off, and then now you're trying to get them back. Then it might be too late because somebody else has already went on and grabbed that player. So you just never know when it comes to fantasy football. But I'm going to pull up one of my standard leagues. Oh, a pickup that I was able to go ahead and grab was George Pickens, wide receiver. He was out there, and after that trade of Claypool, Pickens became available. And in my league, if a player is on a bye week, they're still available to pick up for free up until Sunday night's game. So I picked up Kadarius Toney. He didn't work out. I dropped him, and I picked up George Pickens. I'm stashing him. I think that George Pickens ends up being the number one wide receiver for Pittsburgh the rest of the way. Deontay Johnson is there, but George Pickens is that dude. Timeout Sports, man. What's good, my brother? Appreciate you hopping on the stream, man. We're going to have a good show. Excited to be talking football. Excited to be back on once again and kind of do what I love, which is talking sports. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up a few things. I'm trying to multitask here. I'm going to share one of my leagues. Let me share my screen. Where is it? Share screen. So I want to show you guys some of the top performances this week in the fantasy world. And hopefully some of these pickups could help you guys win your matchups. Whether you're sports betting, whether you're, it doesn't matter which kind of league you're playing in. So this is one of my favorite leagues. This right here is a home league. Been in this league for about 12 to 13 years, even when I was in college, man. That's how long I've been in this league. Somebody dropped Tua Tagovailoa, and I was able to scoop him up. I'm 5-4 in this league, but if you look, you see that I've scored the most points in this league. So heading into next week, if I win and I end up being 6-4, and these guys are also 6-4, then I can get that number one spot. I had the number one spot last week, lost it after a loss, and now I have an opportunity to win. This week I'm playing the number 7 seed, Lamar to Godwin. Hopefully I beat this guy. The good thing is he has tons and tons of players on bye week, including Lamar Jackson. So he has tons and tons of guys to drop, and I'm here to scoop a lot of his guys. He's going to drop guys like Isaiah Likely. I'm ready for all that. Pretty excited about that. But yeah, fantasy football is where it's at. But yeah, I wanted to get into the free agent market and kind of show you guys some of the guys that I'm looking at. So we're going to go from week to week. Here's how I do my waiver wires. I go to all players, and then we're going to go to week 9. Let's go to week 9. Let's just look at the quarterbacks and see where people landed. We all know that Justin Fields was the number 1 quarterback. This guy picked up Justin Fields to play against me. Luckily for me, I was able to pick up Tua Tagovailoa that Sunday, and I put him into my lineup, and he ended up being QB4 with 24.08 points. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes have been there every step of the way as the 1 and 2 quarterback. They're up there. Geno Smith continues to play well. He's available in free agency. That's going to be a name for you guys to monitor. Geno Smith is still being disrespected in a lot of fantasy circles. If he's out there, if he's available, go scoop him. I might scoop him if I got some space, but I usually love to roster only 1 quarterback. So, but if Geno Smith is out there in your leagues, go ahead and scoop him. I'm moving along. So Justin Fields 1, Patrick Mahomes 2. You had Josh Allen 3. You had Tua 4, Geno Smith 5, Hurts 6, Burrow 7, Murray 8, Carr 9, Lamar 10, Cousins 11, Trevor Lawrence 12. These were your top 12 quarterbacks of the week. Guys like Aaron Rodgers have been up and down. Taylor Heineke has been solid. He's a solid QB2. So that's a guy that you need to go ahead and pick up, especially if you have a guy like Lamar on bye week. Geno Smith and Lamar are going to be hot names on the waiver wire. Guys like Jared Goff, he's another name on the waiver wire. Andy Dalton, we've talked about him. Zach Wilson, even a guy like Matthew Stafford. On any given day, he might be able to perform, but I can't trust him. Look at his last 5 games: 7 points, 11 points, 12 points, 17 points, 10 points. He's not a guy that you want to trust. He's not that guy. He's not that guy. So putting your hopes and trust in Matthew Stafford, what you get is what you get out of Matthew Stafford. And you want to be careful with Matthew Stafford. But if you have plenty guys on bye weeks, I don't know how many teams are on bye week this week, but it's tons and tons of teams on bye week. So if Matthew Stafford is available and you need him, you use him. Marcus Mariota is one of those guys that is usually solid. He gives you solid numbers. Last 4 games, 5 games, 17, 24, 12, 24, 7. So you like a guy that's in the range of between 17 and 24. And that's what Marcus Mariota gives you when he's on top of his game. Even though we know that the Atlanta Falcons don't run the ball. Even though we know that Marcus Mariota can be replaced at any given moment. At the end of the day, you still want to grab guys that can help you win your weeks, especially if you're struggling, especially if you're losing, you got to do what you got to do to survive. Let's go ahead and look at the wide receivers for week 9, the top wide receivers for week 9. You have Devontae Adams 1, Tyreek Hill 2, Cooper Kupp 3, Justin Jefferson 4, Christian Kirk 5. Shout out to Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk has been solid all year. Here are his numbers: 17 points, 25 points, 19 points, 8 points, 2 points, 10 points. And that was a bad stretch. Then now he's back, 17, 7, and 21. He has had, multiple 17-plus games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 games of 17 or more points. Even in the season, Christian Kirk is a big-time wide receiver. I'll go in later on and see where he ranks. But yeah, Christian Kirk, man, if you can trade for him, you trade for him. If your trade deadline hasn't passed just yet, trade for this guy. He ended up 5. Mecole Hardman ended up number 6. He was solid. Actually traded him away in a trade that helped me get Mike Evans. Jalen Waddle 7, Juju Smith-Schuster 8. Traded for Terry McLaurin today, and Juju Smith-Schuster was a casualty in that trade. So Smith-Schuster is at 8, Lazard at 9, Palmer at 10, Wilson at 11, Lockett at 12. Shout out to Garrett Wilson. Back-to-back solid games. He had 17 points and then 17.9 points a game. After week 3, he had, 6, 7, and 1, and 6. Bad stretch of 4 weeks, and I just dropped him after week 7. And then he goes off in week 8 and week 9. In the leagues that I do have him in, he's locked and loaded in my lineups. He has 521 yards right now, and he's one of the top rookies in the NFL. I love him, and I love Chris Olave. And guess what? They both went to the same school. Chris Olave actually has more yards right now with 618 yards receiving. Chris Olave is a stud. This guy has been solid all year. 9 points, 11 points, 23 points, 16, 15, 0. I don't know if he missed that game or not. I can't remember what happened. 17, 10, 13. So you can see he's had double-digit games outside of week 1 and, questionable if he played or not in week 6. But yeah, Chris Olave, he's that dude. He's going to end up with 1,200 yards receiving this year. He's on pace for that. He's on pace for, about 90 receptions this year. So I'm excited for Chris Olave and his potential moving forward. Olave has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games left. So he's literally at the halfway point, so to speak. 8 games left. We know that week 17 and 18 don't really matter in most leagues, but it's all good. No, I think week 17 matters, but week 18 does not matter. So interesting things there. T. Higgins has been solid all year. Even with the injuries, he hasn't been the superstar that we want him to be, but he's been pretty good. So, guys like Olave and T. Higgins are pretty much the same kinds of guys. Let's keep on moving. Let's go back to this. Garrett Wilson, man, he's been solid. Olave's been solid. You can see I have Olave on my team. Curtis Samuel, he continues to get targets. That's one thing I can say about Curtis Samuel. He continues to get targets. Now, obviously, the last 3 to 4 weeks, targets have gone down 5, 8, 4, 4. But he continues to get yards, and he gets positive plays. He's had double-digit points in every single game except of week 4 and week 6. So he's a solid flex play to a wide receiver 2 play. So continue to start Curtis Samuel with confidence. Curtis Samuel is like that J.D. McKissick. He's going to mess around and get 90 receptions this year if he stays healthy, knocking on wood. You're looking at 90 receptions for Curtis Samuel. You're looking at about 900 yards. Then you're looking at about 6 touchdowns. Those are solid numbers. And then you're looking about 120 targets for 90 receptions, 900 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That's a solid wide receiver too. So Curtis Samuel, he slept on. So I talked about Curtis Samuel. I talked about Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. And these are all Ohio State guys. These guys are producing top-notch wide receivers right now. And I love what I'm seeing out of Ohio State. So I've gone over the wide receiver ones for this week. Shout out to DK Metcalf. Even without a good quarterback play, so to speak, he's been solid. He has 500-plus yards this year. Where did Terry rank this week? You don't even see Terry in the top 24. He's not in or in the top 25. So Terry was not a top 25 wide receiver this week, and that's a problem, especially when you're starting him in fantasy. So Terry was a number 26 wide receiver this week. Hopefully he gets. I mean, he's been getting the targets ever since Taylor Heineke took over in that Green Bay game. I mean, 8 targets, 9 targets. So the targets have been there consistently. 73 yards, 113 yards, 56 yards. I need Terry to be getting about 9 to 10 to 15 targets a game, about 5 to 6 receptions, but I want to see him at least in that 700, 70 yards or more, 70 yards or more. That's what I want out of Terry. He's on pace for, tons of yards. I looked up where Terry ranks in the NFL, and I think he's top 10 in yards, but at the same time, he's the least targeted guy out of that group. Not only that, he only has 38 receptions for 609 yards. So he's getting a lot of air yards. He's getting a lot of yak. He's just that dude. So I love what Terry brings to the table. I love what he can do. In terms of wide receivers to pick up, as you can see on this list, you're not going to see much on that first batch. Like most guys are going to be rostered. Chris Moore was solid. Terrence Marshall was solid. If you're playing in deep leagues, these are guys to target. Chris Moore and also Terrence Marshall. All right. Okay, Scotty Miller, he was solid, in that game with Tom Brady. The guy to, look at in deep leagues. Let's look at some other guys on the second page. Philip Dorsett, if Brandon Cooks continues to stay out, that's a guy that you want to go ahead and target. If Keenan Allen and Mike Williams continue to be out, DeAndre Carter is a good target on the waiver wire. Marvin Jones and Zay Jones are always solid, especially in deeper leagues. Shout out to Dax Mills catching that touchdown, but he's definitely not somebody that you want to target in fantasy right now. Some leagues, Gabe Davis might be out there. Allen Robinson, these are guys that you might be able to scoop and play. Even Hunter Renfrow. Eventually, he's going to get back to his ways, but he's been so terrible this year. Devontae Adams is taking up all the targets. He only has, 29 targets for 21 yards and 192 yards receiving. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for wide receivers right now. Let's go ahead and look at the RB position. This is the position that you see tons and tons of guys getting hurt all the time, and it hurts. So Joe Mixon played great. He was the RB1. Kenneth Walker was RB2, ETN 3, Drake 4. I was able to start Drake and Walker in this one league, and man, it boded well for me in that league. I also have Ramondre, and then I had Kamara as well. So it was good to see Drake pick up the slack for me. Drake had a great game. He rushed the ball 24 times for 93 yards and 2 scores. Drake has been solid all year, especially these last 4 weeks. I love the stretch for Drake, and he could be a league winner if he continues at this pace. Even with Gus Edwards coming back, he's going to split the backfield. And, that's where it's at. All right, so you have Joe Mixon at 1, Kenneth Walker at 2, Etienne at 3, Drake at 4, Eckler at 5, Derrick Henry at 6, Cordero Patterson at 7. Shout out to Cordero Patterson. He's come back and he's continued his ways, especially those first 3 weeks when he had 22 points, 4 points in 22. He ended up with a 18-point game. After Cordero Patterson at 7, you had Jeff Wilson at 8, Ramondre at 9, Carter at 10, Blackshear at 11, and Miles Sanders at 12. So you can see that the running back position was kind of funny this week. It wasn't a lot of like major stars or people stepping up, but Jeff Wilson has been solid. That's a guy I told you guys to go ahead and pick up. If Cordero Patterson is available in your league, scoop him, because I'm pretty sure somebody dropped him and then they didn't have an IR or they needed that IR spot. Raheem Blackshear, that lucky touchdown. I will still go Deontay Foreman once again this week. You guys tune in with me when I do my waiver wire. My sits and start show, which will be in 2 days. But yeah, tons and tons of guys to go ahead and scoop from the waiver wire. Let me see. Did somebody just comment? Let me see who just commented. Man, we got Hawk in the building, man. Appreciate you hopping on the stream, brother. How you doing? Who else is out here? Kenneth Gainwell. He's more of a stash. He had a lucky touchdown. He's more of a stash. Jared McKinnon. To be serious, guys, I know that the Kansas City running back situation is very weird. We don't know who's going to be the guy. But one thing I can say is, in a time where you're needing multiple running backs, especially you're needing guys to step in for bye week situations, Jerick McKinnon is a good scoop. I mean, this guy right here had 10 points. He had 6 receptions for 40 yards, and it was great. It was great. And that's what you need out of Jerick McKinnon. He's not flashy. He's going to get you anywhere between 6 to 9 points a game consistently, and we see it. The numbers say that. I mean, outside of that 1 and 2 and 7, so he's good for, about 7 points on average, right? But you want to go ahead and grab him just in case you have a running back that gets hurt. Tyler Algier, he shouldn't be available, but if he's available, the last 3 weeks, he's had 11, 17, and 13. He's been solid. He stepped in for Cordero Patterson. I think that him and Cordero Patterson are going to work in tandem. Sometimes he's touchdown dependent. Sometimes he's going to catch passes to supplement for his lack of touchdowns. We see that he only has 1 touchdown so far this year. So you got to kind of watch the trends and see what's going on. Hawk says, Cordero Patterson is living embodiment of the phrase, "It's never too late." Absolutely, man. Cordero Patterson, he stepped into that role, and he's played amazing. Considering how he came into the league, he was deemed a bust. He was deemed a bust. He was deemed the gadget guy. He was deemed the guy that's just that just does, kickoffs, punt returns, things of that nature. And now he's becoming a wide receiver. He was a wide receiver coming in. Now he's playing the running back position. He's a big, strong, fast guy. This is for the Vikings, that is. Yeah. He came in with the Vikings. He was doing all these different things. He was a bust, but now he's made a role for himself. And look, I believe in Cordero Patterson. He's legit. I have him in a fantasy league, and he's been doing some pretty good things for me. So I appreciate Cordero Patterson and his skill set. James Robinson is a guy that I'm not sure what he brings to the table. He did have 13 carries, which was encouraging for 48 yards, but he also had a receiving score. So, 13 points is not bad. But then this week, I need James Robinson, and he's out on bye week. So I have to go with a guy like the Deontay Foreman. So hoping that he does well. A guy that we need to start taking seriously is Jamal Williams. He should not be available in your leagues, but if he is, he has standalone value. He has 8 rushing touchdowns this year. When I looked it up, Jamal Williams has 8 rushing touchdowns this year, and he's a guy that people do not take seriously. He has standalone value. He's getting the carries. He had 24 carries last week, converted on a 2-point conversion. Didn't get a touchdown, but he had 81 yards, and he had 10 points in that's with Swift coming back and Swift not being 100%. So you're going to expect to see plenty Jamal Williams. He gets a lot of goal line carries. He's had 4 games this year where he had at least 2 touchdowns. So he has 2 touchdown games 4 times. He had it in week 1 with 2 touchdowns. He had it in week 3 with 2 touchdowns. Had it again in week 4 with 2 touchdowns. And he had it again in week 8 with 2 touchdowns. And every time he gets 2 touchdowns, he's getting you anywhere between 16 to 24 points a game every time he gets you 2 scores. So he's a threat to get into the end zone and get into the end zone multiple times. He's becoming a great flex play. Not only that, he's becoming a great RB2 play. So he has 8 touchdowns so far this year. It's safe to say that Jamal Williams will most likely end up with double-digit touchdowns this year, and he's a very good handcuff, a very good play, especially in those times where Swift is hurt or not playing at 100%. So if he's out there in your league, go scoop him. If he's a guy that you can trade for, you go ahead and grab him. Let's talk about Kamara real quick. Kamara did not play a good game, but Kamara has been consistent ever since week 5, and that's also because of Andy Dalton figuring out ways to get Kamara the ball. Not only is he running the ball well, he's also receiving a lot of passes. 23 points, 18 points, 17 points. Last week, he exploded for 42 points. He had a lot of points, especially in the receiving end. Did a lot of work receiving-wise. So he's been good. He scored some touchdowns, but last week he didn't play well. But don't worry about Kamara. He's going to be fine. Jerick McKinnon out of this page. Blackshear is a guy that you want to have just in case a guy like Foreman goes down. Chuba Hubbard should be out this week. I know it's a short week, short turnaround, so I'm expecting Deontay Foreman to get about 100 yards and another score this week. He's good for about 14 to 15 points. I like Foreman a lot this week. If he's available, go ahead and scoop him up. He's had like a good stretch. 16 points, 31 points, and then he had that game where he only had 4 points. But it's all good. I believe in him. So Scoop up Deontay Foreman if he's available in your league. Deion Jackson let a lot of us down. No Jonathan Taylor. He played. He had 11 carries for 23 yards. I know a lot of you guys were pissed off. I was pissed off. There were some leagues that Deion Jackson did not help me win. I actually lost because I was thinking that I was going to get the Deion Jackson from week 6 where he had 12 carries for 42 yards. Then he also had like 10 receptions also for X amount of yards, which resulted to 28.10 fantasy points. That's what I was looking for. For those of you guys who have Brian Johnson, it's time to start. I mean, you guys are probably feeling frustrated having him, and I'm contemplating dropping him, to be honest. 2 points, 12 points, 10 points, 2 points, 5 points. And I had Antonio Gibson, and I dropped Antonio Gibson thinking that Brian Robinson was going to be the guy, but it seems to be an exact timeshare. He's not getting the 17 to 20 carries that he has been getting. He's now getting 18 to 13 carries a game, and the production is anywhere between 20 to 44 yards. So, they're playing Philly. Brian Robinson might not be the best play. Antonio Gibson might be the better play for you guys. Also, with David Montgomery going through what he's going through right now, Khalil Herbert might be the guy to go ahead and scoop. So that's a guy that I'm targeting in the waiver wires if he's available. Eno Benjamin is a good stash because you cannot trust James Conner. So if Eno Benjamin is available, you scoop him, you put him into your lineup. Who else? Rex Burkhead is a good handcuff. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like I said, the Kansas City running back situation is terrible. You pick one and you stick with that one. Let's keep it going. Let's look at the tight end position. This position is very frustrating. Like it's a big drop off between the tight end 1 and 2 with the tight ends 8 and 9 and 10 and 11. So tight end 1 for the week is Dallas Goedert. Had an amazing week. I mean, he caught 8 of his 9 targets for 100 yards and a score. He had 24 points. He had Cole Kmet, who did more of his damage on the receiving touchdown end. That's the tight end 2. Travis Kelce has been a top 3 tight end every single game this year. Maybe not every single game, but he's been pretty good. I mean, 26 points, 10, 17, 24, 33, 19, 15, 20. Travis Kelce's that dude. He's that dude. Cade Otton, played really well. 17 points. Targeted 6 times, caught 5 receptions for 68 and a score. TJ Hawkinson, another great addition with the Vikings. 9 targets, 9 receptions, 70 yards. If he's doing that every single week, you're getting 16 clean points every single week. And you want your tight ends getting you anywhere between 15 to 20 points. That's what you call an elite tight end. And it possibly ends with Zach Ertz, who's been real solid all year round. 11 points, 15, 10, 16, 10, 14, 6, 13, 15. He's been solid. He doesn't put up the best numbers, but he does get a lot of receptions. He does get a lot of targets. And Kyler Murray loves to zero in on guys. And if Kyler Murray likes you, he's going to target you a lot. So that's what's going on with Zach Ertz. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Zach Ertz was tight end 6. Noah Fant was tight end 7. Shout out to him with that big play that boosted him to have 5 receptions for 96 yards. 8 was Juwan Johnson. 9, Isaiah Likely. That's my guy. But then you see that tight ends 10, 11, and 12 weren't even rostered. Like I picked up James Mitchell in one random league. I stuck him into my lineup, and he was able to give me 8.8 points and help me win my week. So sometimes, man, you just got to just take chances. And when it comes to tight ends, you just don't know. Like guys like Gerald Everett, Hayden Hurst, these guys let us down. They let us down. They did not perform. They did not perform to the level that we are accustomed to seeing them perform. Guys like Robert Tonyan, he did not perform. Austin Hooper, he's been terrible all year. Dawson Knox, terrible all year. Chico Okonkwo had 1 play, and he had more points than Dawson Knox and Austin Hooper. So Kyle Pitts, he's way at the bottom at tight end 25. If you drafted this guy within your first couple rounds, I feel sorry for you. He's had 1 week, which was 2 weeks ago with 19 points. He tricked everybody. He had that big game, and everybody was thinking, oh, man, Kyle Pitts is back. Kyle Pitts is this, Kyle Pitts is that, and then he wets the bed, okay? So when it comes to tight ends, just if you don't have a Dallas Goedert, Travis Kelce, now with Mark Andrews being gone, just pick one of these rookie tight ends. I love Cade Otton a lot. I love Isaiah Likely, especially if Mark Andrews is not there. James Mitchell is a guy I feel like starts to get more and more love as the season goes on. So there's tons of guys when they're not injured. Dulcich, he was on a bye week, so that's another guy that I like. He's possibly my favorite rookie rookie tight end. In terms of kickers, I've been lucky to have Nick Folk and Ryan Succop in a lot of my leagues. I know that Tom Brady has been bad this year. The offense has been bad. But one thing I can say is that they consistently kick field goals. And Succop is a good one. Nick Folk is a good one. I think Nick Folk has had 2 monster weeks, 21 points in week 8 and 17 points in week 9. These are good enough to literally single-handedly win you your league. So that's that. I'm not going to go too deep into kickers, but you just kind of pick one and just kind of pray because these guys are random. Like, look at this guy right here. He's the kicker 3, but then he's had a stretch of 3, 7, 3, 3, 5. Like, these numbers would lose you your weeks. So that's why people are out here streaming kickers. One of the most consistent kickers this year has been Daniel Carlson. Outside of that goose egg when that offense just kind of fizzled out, he's been solid. You know he's getting you at least 8 points. So you don't take a kicker like Carlson for granted because he's going to give you that consistent 8 to 16 points a game. And that's what you want. You know, that's what you want. A guy that's consistent, that's going to get you consistent scoring opportunities. So, yeah, when it comes to kickers, pick whoever you want, to be honest. Defense, I don't really look at who's the best defense, who's this, who's that. But I just kind of look at the trends. I love the New England matchup last week versus Indianapolis. You know, I went on and scooped them, and they got me 26 points. They had 9 sacks. And then they returned a touchdown. So defensively, you look at the matchups, right? Another matchup that I'm looking at this week is who's playing Indianapolis, and I think it's the Vegas Raiders. So that's a defense that I'm targeting. Now, Raiders defense has not been good all year, but you're playing a terrible team in Indianapolis who struggle to move the ball, who struggle to protect the quarterback. So with that being said, with this, you know, just kind of look at the matchups, see who's playing Detroit, see who's playing the Texans. You know, look at some of these weaker offenses in the league and then kind of plan accordingly. Once you pick a defense, you stick with it. Because I'm telling you, sometimes you look at things, situations, you move that player out, and then you end up ruining your gut feeling. All right, man, we got Keg Carr in the building. He has a question. He says, I have a question. My team is Mahomes, Saquon, K. Walker, J-Jet, Pittman, and ETN. He also says, should I trade Mahomes, ETN, and Walker for Herbert, CMC, and Waddle? Absolutely. When you look at it, Mahomes and Herbert is not much of a drop-off. And once Herbert starts to get his weapons to be healthy, Herbert can be on that same level as Patrick Mahomes. ETN and CMC. ETN has been great this year. CMC has been on a whole nother level. So CMC wins that one. Then you look at Walker and Waddle. These are 2 guys that have played well, 2 guys that have been solid. I'm going to give you the numbers for Waddle the last, let's say, 3 or 4 weeks, and I'll give you the numbers for Walker 3 or 4 weeks. I like this for you because you're getting CMC who has a major, major upside, more upside than ETN. So Waddle, the last 5 weeks, let me pull them up. But yeah, I'm in support of you making this trade. So I've already said that. So the last 5 weeks, Waddle has 5 points, 16 points, 12 points, 30 points, 19 points. So not bad. So the last 4 weeks, 16, 12, 30, 19, right? Let's look at Kenneth Walker. And Kenneth Walker has been a dog. He has been a dog. He was one of my favorite, if not my favorite, running back in the draft coming in. So the last 5 weeks for Kenneth Walker, he has 14, 19, 28, 12, 27. So last 4 weeks, 19, 28, 12, 27. So essentially, Walker over Waddle, CMC over ETN, Mahomes over Herbert. But the prize, the best asset in here that I'm looking at is CMC. So that's why you make the deal, because it's not a drop-off between Mahomes and Herbert. And then ETN is lower than CMC, but and then Walker is greater than Waddle. If you're looking at the numbers and the production and touches and all that good stuff, Waddle still has to face or compete for touches with Tyreek Hill, who's having an amazing year. So, guys, these are my starts and sits. If you guys are new to the channel, please like, please subscribe, please share. Super chats are always welcome. Super stickers are always welcome. And also, if you are interested in becoming a member of the channel, hit the button right here or right there. Don't know exactly where it's at. You are more than welcome to join and become a channel member. Depending on what level of membership that you get, you'll have access to me 24/7. With the highest level of membership, I'll put you into a chat to where we can talk fantasy football, NFL 24/7 as you please, and then you'll be able to kind of get your questions out to me ASAP before I'm able to get on out here and do a live. So as the channel grows, as the membership grow, I'll be able to start doing member only streams, member only videos. There'll be times when I post videos and the members will have access to it first before everybody else. So for example, waiver wire show, right? You guys want to go ahead and knock out your waiver wires. I might be able to do a show for you guys to where you guys can go in and, watch the show early in the morning before I go ahead and do my stream in the evening for everybody else. Once again, guys, this is your guy Manny. This is the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. I love you guys. You guys be blessed, and I will catch you guys on that next stream. I'm out. Peace.